Welcome back to Second Floor Basement, the best source for anime summaries and recaps. Hit subscribe and join the legion of anime aficionados and otakus riding the wave. Get ready for a wild ride with Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. In 2006, third-year student Yutahime Iori and Sorcerer Mei are assigned to investigate a haunted house that many people have gone missing from. While inspecting inside, the two realize they are trapped in an endless hallway as a result of the cursed spirit. Right as they are about to plan their escape, second-year students Satoru Gojo, Suguru Geto, and Shoko Yeri arrive, with the former too easily disposing of the building and curse. Due to neglecting to open a curtain, they are reprimanded by their homeroom teacher, Masamichi Yaga, at Jujutsu High. After Gojo and Geto have a disagreement about the relationship between sorcerers and non-sorcerers, they are assigned a job courtesy of Master Tenjin. Every 500 years, to counteract his immortality curse technique to prevent him from evolving beyond that of a human, Tenjin merges himself with a person known as a star plasma vessel. Gojo and Geto are hired to protect the vessel, a girl named Riko Amanai, who is being targeted by two groups, the Curse User Sect Q, and the religious group Time Vessel Association. En route to Riko's, Gojo and Geto are attacked by members of Q, with the latter saving Riko. Meanwhile, due to not having the strength to fight, the Time Vessel Association hires someone to kill Riko, Toji Zenin, now going by his wife's maiden name, Fushiguro. Gojo and Geto easily dispose of the Q attackers, and after she wakes up from her unconsciousness, are formally introduced to Riko and her maid Misato Kurowa. Despite intending to take her to Jujutsu High for safety, Riko goes to school for the day, with Tenjin ordering Gojo and Geto to follow her wishes, as they are aware even though she is content with her fate, she will no longer have a normal life once she is assimilated with Tenjin. Meanwhile, knowing he has no chance of currently facing Gojo, Toji decides to wait and let other attackers tire them down first, adding further fuel to the fire by putting a 30 million yen bounty on Riko's head. Geto and Kurowa face off against curse users at the school, while Gojo grabs Riko before being cornered by a curse user able to create clones of himself. Using the power of his six eyes and Limitless, Gojo is able to overwhelm and defeat the user, even after he fails to execute his reverse curse technique. Just then, Riko receives a text message of Kurowa tied up and captured. After learning of Kurowa's abduction by the Time Vessel Association, Gojo, Geto, and Riko effortlessly storm their base in Okinawa to rescue her and decide to spend the time waiting out the bounty's deadline by hanging out on the island. Gojo lets them stay longer in order to fulfill Riko's desires, though Geto worries since Gojo has been using the six eyes non-stop for 2 days straight. Once the deadline is up, the group arrive at Tokyo Jujutsu High to prepare for the assimilation, only to suddenly be attacked by Toji, catching Gojo off guard. Gojo stays behind to fight while Geto takes Riko and Kurowa to Tengen's. During their battle, Gojo realizes that Toji has no curse energy at all, unlike normal humans, meaning that he was born with a heavenly restriction, granting him incredible physical prowess. Using a horde of cursed spirits accompanying him, as well as a special grade curse tool designed to forcefully deactivate active curse techniques, Toji is able to overwhelm Gojo and viciously slice at his throat and chest, seemingly killing him. Meanwhile, Riko says her tearful goodbyes to Kurowa as Geto takes her to Tengen's underground lair. He gives her the option of rejecting the assimilation, having already decided with Gojo to go against Tenjin if she so wishes. Riko admits her wish to live her life as a normal person, but just as she's about to reach out to Geto, she is suddenly shot fatally in the head by Toji. Geto is stunned, and after Toji boasts about killing Gojo, Geto unleashes his cursed spirits to fight. Geto uses his cursed spirits to fight Toji in revenge for Riko, as well as Gojo's assumed death, but Toji is able to dodge and counteract each attack. He also explains the process behind how he was able to hide his own cursed spirit and infiltrate into the lair. Geto attempts to absorb Toji's cursed spirit, but fails, allowing Toji to defeat him, leaving him barely alive. Toji takes Riko's corpse to the Time Vessel Association, where the representative explains how their group has evolved over the years and their obsession with Tenjin. As he starts to leave, Toji is confronted by Gojo, who survived their encounter by using reverse curse technique to heal himself. Experiencing a high while on the verge of insanity, Gojo is able to easily fight back against everything Toji throws at him, activating special applications of his limitless ability. Toji's left side of the body is blown apart, and as he succumbs to his wounds, he reveals to Gojo that his son, Megumi, will be sold to the Zenin clan in a few years. Geto, who was healed by Shoko, rushes to the church to find Gojo carrying Riko's body, asking if they should kill all the non-sorcerer cultists present. Geto says no, but this thought continues to linger through his head. 1 year later, Gojo has become so adept with using his curse technique and becoming the strongest he has been taking on more solo missions, leaving Geto to feel more isolated with his own conflicted feelings. After talking with underclassman Yuhaibara, Geto meets special grade sorcerer Yuki Tsukumo, who reveals to him her desire to rid the world of cursed spirits created by the curse energy given off by non-sorcerers. Geto realizes that this is potentially possible if they killed all the non-sorcerers and forced them to adapt. After Haibara is killed during a mission, and 2 young sorcerer girls are discovered abused in a village, Geto makes his decision and murders everyone in the village. With this action, Geto is branded a curse user and sentenced to death, shocking Gojo. He confronts Geto, who reveals his plan, having also already killed his own parents too, using Gojo's own incredible power as motivation to continue with his goals. Gojo tries to stop him but is unable to go through with it and lets him go. Geto takes over the Star religious group as its new leader, and Gojo meets Megumi, deciding to protect him from the Zenin clan. In the present, Gojo awakens from his dream greeted by Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara. Aoi Tadu and Meimei suggest to the Jujutsu higher-ups for Yuji Itadori, Megumi Fushiguro, Nobara Kujisaki, Maki Zenin, and Panda to be promoted to first-grade Jujutsu Sorcerer, meaning they will be assigned various missions to earn this title. Tadu is disappointed to learn he won't be able to team up with Yuji for these. During a shopping trip, Nobara is approached by Yuko Ozawa, an old classmate of Yuji's with a crush on him. She invites Megumi to discuss with Yuko about Yuji and convinces her to ask him out. After Yuji is able to easily recognize her even despite her significant change in appearance, she decides not to confess and instead focus on her own feelings and perspective. Shortly afterwards, the trio meet up with Yutaheim to discuss the traitor within Jujutsu High who has been working with the cursed spirit she has narrowed down, Mekamaru. They go to confront the location where Kokichi Muta's real body is located, only to find it abandoned, confirming her theory. Meanwhile, Muta is confronted by Geto and Mahito, revealing he made the vow to work with them so Mahito can use his idol transfiguration on him to repair his body. Due to breaking their deal and attacking the Kyoto students, he calls off their arrangement, forcing Mahito to use his curse technique to heal his body. The two immediately begin fighting as Muta reveals a giant ultimate Mekamaru, with the intention of using it to exorcise Mahito, before warning Gojo about the curse's plans for Shibuya on Halloween. Muta utilizes his 16 years worth of stocked up cursed energy to battle Mahito in his ultimate Mekamaru. Mahito is able to evade and regenerate most of the damage thanks to his transfiguration. However, Muta ends up releasing a missile of cursed energy that directly hits Mahito, damaging part of his soul. Mahito activates his domain expansion, trapping Muta and the Mekamaru within. However, before he can be affected by the attack, he releases another cursed energy missile, revealing to be a simple domain, which is able to destroy the domain and seemingly Mahito himself. Muta prepares to use his remaining energy to attack Geto. However, Mahito survived the attack and uses the moment to catch Muta off guard, killing him. Meanwhile, Miwa talks to Mekamaru about how she wants to get to know everyone more. Several days later, on Halloween in Shibuya, a veil is thrown up over the city, trapping all the civilians within. Several are suddenly sucked into the train station, while the rest are told to ask for Satoru Gojo to be freed. Several sorcerer teams are positioned at the entrances of the veil, prepared to act if necessary, while Gojo enters it. Gojo enters the subway crowded with civilians where he confronts the curses Jogo, Hanami, and Choso. Meanwhile, Yuji accompanies Meimei and her brother Ui, who proceed elsewhere above ground to deal with a newly discovered veil. They discover the appearance of transfigured humans, causing Yuji to realize Mahito is around. He decides to deal with the powerful cursed spirit sensed nearby, while Mei and Ui take care of the transfigured humans. Yuji discovers a semi-intelligent grasshopper cursed spirit guarding a tool that controls the veil, overpowering the curse with his raw strength and destroying the veil. Yuji, Mei, and Ui reconvene below ground to discover Mahito and most of the civilians are gone. Back in the subway, taking advice from Geto, Jogo uses the civilians in an attempt to distract and overcrowd Gojo. He and Nanami execute a domain amplification, which allows them to deactivate a person's curse technique, forcing Gojo to jump out of the way. Gojo takes off his blindfold, prepared to take the fight seriously, while Jogo remembers Geto's words to keep him busy for 20 minutes while he prepares the prison realm. Jogo and Nanami fight Gojo up close, while Choso attacks from the rear. Gojo successfully overwhelms Nanami by completely crushing them into a corner with his limitless, killing them. Stunned, Jogo tries to run away while still keeping Gojo busy. Mahito then arrives with a train carrying hundreds of transfigured humans that proceed to cause immense chaos in the subway among the civilians, unleashing even more he had in hiding. Pushed into a corner, Gojo releases his domain expansion, Infinite Void, but only for the span of 0.2 seconds, immobilizing every transfigured human and cursed spirit in the area while minimizing lasting psychological damage to the civilians. Gojo uses this opening and eliminates 1,000 transfigured humans, leaving him exhausted. He is then confronted by the prison realm, but before he can escape its range, Geto greets him, shocking him and causing all his memories to come rushing back to him. Enough time passes in Gojo's mind for the prison realm to trap him completely. Before he is sealed away, Gojo refuses to acknowledge this as Geto's true identity. Geto undoes the set of stitches on his head to expose a mysterious brain with a mouth, revealing that he transplanted his brain into Geto's body with his curse technique to gain access to Geto's curse manipulation for his plans. Meanwhile, a Mechimara-like earpiece suddenly attaches itself to Yuji, alerting him to Gojo's current fate. As he is about to be sealed away, Gojo addresses the real Geto, causing Geto's hand to start choking out his body, which surprises and amuses the imposter Pseudo-Geto. The prison realm is then closed, trapping Gojo. Elsewhere, Mechimara reveals to Yuji and Mei what just happened, including that he created a couple puppets as failsafes in case he died and Gojo was sealed. Mei and Ui stay behind to deal with several special-grade cursed spirits in the subway, while Yuji runs to the surface to inform the other sorcerers of Gojo's predicament. The other teams are sent further into the Veil when Kiyotaka Ijichi is attacked by curse user Haruta Shigemo. Yuji yells out from the top of the buildings to Kento Nanami about Gojo's sealing, which is heard by the other teams. Meanwhile, the prison realm suddenly drops onto the ground due to Gojo's interference within, forcing them to have to wait until it stabilizes. Pseudo-Geto's group also discover Mechimara's spying puppets. The curses then get into an argument over Yuji's fate, with Choso and Mahito wanting to kill him, while Jogo wants to resurrect Sukuna. Mahito proposes they all race to see whoever can find him first. After they leave, the Hasaba sisters confront Pseudo-Geto about giving Geto his body back, but he dismisses them. Nanami, Megumi, and Ino reconvene with Yuji as they proceed to split up to deal with the remaining veils within Shibuya. Yuji, Megumi, and Ino investigate the barrier preventing sorcerers from entering, and due to its strength deduce that the veils are being protected somewhere out in the open, which turns out to be the Shibuya Central Tower. They confront the three curse users at the top of the tower and destroy one of the veil tools. Yuji and Megumi fight the user in possession of the remaining veils, while Ino fights the other two users. The curse users lament how the balance of the world changed when Gojo was born, as fear of his incredible strength prevented them from being able to do whatever they wanted. Ino uses his curse technique to fight the two curse users, a grandmother and her grandson. The grandson protects his grandmother as she completes a seance, transforming the grandson into Toji Zenin. With Toji's strength, the grandson is able to brutally defeat Ino. Meanwhile, Yuji and Megumi fight the other curse user, who seemingly is able to repel all of their attacks. Using his 10 shadows, Megumi is able to figure out his curse technique is inverse, letting him reverse the strength of powerful attacks. Yuji and Megumi trip him up by throwing a barrage of weak and strong attacks at him, eventually defeating him. Nanami discovers Ichichi's bloody body and escorts him to safety. Yuji and Megumi destroy the veil trapping the sorcerers in the city, however the veils trapping Gojo and the civilians remain active. They then rescue an unconscious Ino after he's dropped from the central tower. Megumi goes to take him to safety, while Yuji runs off to reconvene with Nanami. Meanwhile, despite the seance only supposed to copy the deceased's body, the soul of Toji is able to completely usurp the grandson's body, and under her orders to kill all sorcerers, promptly kills the grandmother too. Elsewhere, Nobara and Akari Nida split up from Maki and Naobito Zenin when they are confronted by Haruta. Nobara attempts to fight to allow Akari to escape, but thanks to his technique is able to completely evade every attack, seriously injuring both of them. Before he can kill Akari, Nanami arrives, resisting every one of his attacks, and brutally defeating him. He tells the two to wait and rest while he heads down to back up the Zenins. In the subway, Mei and Ui encounter Geto, who unleashes a smallpox deity cursed spirit to keep them busy. At the same time, Yuji runs into Choso, who immediately begins to fight to avenge his brothers. Before his encounter with Choso, Yuji passed by civilians being attacked by cursed spirits in the streets, until Toji Inumaki arrived to handle it. Choso attacks using his cursed technique, blood manipulation, convergence piercing blood, catching Yuji off guard and piercing his left arm. Choso asks Yuji for his brother's last words, where he reveals to him that they cried before dying. Yuji finds himself struggling to overcome Choso's defenses and attacks, until Mekamaru reawakens, advising Yuji of a plan. They lure Choso into the bathroom, in which Yuji has flooded it, and while the Mekamaru robot is destroyed, the water disrupts Choso's outer blood, preventing him from going at his fullest. Despite this, Choso manages to pierce Yuji's liver, and believing he will die anyway, goes all out with the intent of taking Choso down too. However, Choso uses his blood to form a shield to protect his chest from Yuji's divergent fist, and knocks him unconscious. Choso is about to finish him off, to Sukuna's disappointment, when something unexpected occurs. Flashes of memories begin to flood Choso's mind of he and his brothers hanging out, including Yuji. The supposed revelation causes him to spiral in disbelief and wander away. Later, the Hasaba sisters discover the unconscious Yuji. Mei battles the smallpox deity cursed spirit, just barely avoiding her death by its guaranteed hit attacks. Using Ui and her crows as a distraction, she is able to catch the curse off guard and defeat it, freeing them from the domain and ready to fight Geto. Elsewhere, Nanami convenes with Maki and Naobito, informing them of Gojo's concealment. They encounter the cursed spirit Dagon, who reveals itself to have been a curse womb, evolving to a significantly stronger state. Naobito uses his curse technique, projection sorcery, to put up a good fight until Dagon activates his domain expansion, trapping the three in his domain. Nanami and Naobito are consumed by a horde of Shikigami, while Maki barely avoids it. Megumi enters the domain and starts a domain clash in an effort to keep Dagon distracted. Nanami and Naobito survive their pileups, and Megumi reveals he's discovered the exit to the domain, which they are about to use to escape. However, before they can, Toji suddenly emerges through the passage. After entering the domain, Toji takes Maki's cursed tool and immediately begins targeting the strongest opponent in the area, Dagon. Everyone is stunned as Toji completely overwhelms Dagon with his immense speed and strength, brushing off all of his attacks and eventually killing him, ending the domain. Without any time to react, Megumi is unexpectedly launched out the building to confront Toji himself. Jogo suddenly appears to mourn Dagon's death and effortlessly incinerates Nanami, Maki, and Naobito. He then senses Sukuna's presence and rushes to find the Hasaba sisters feeding Yuji a finger. He scares them off and proceeds to feed Yuji 10 fingers to make a total of 15 fingers within him. Sukuna awakens, stunning Jogo and the Hisabas into absolute fear by his presence. Sukuna asks the Hisabas what they want for providing the finger, and they ask him to kill the imposter inhabiting Geto's body, offering another finger's location as further compensation. Annoyed by their request, Sukuna brutally kills them both. He then addresses Jogo, who simply says he only desires Sukuna's complete resurrection and suggests he make a pact with Yuji to take control of the body. Sukuna denies this, having his own plans, but allows Jogo the chance that if he can land one hit on him, he will assist his group. Megumi fights Toji, but continues to be overwhelmed by his power and speed. The two eventually corner each other and nearly get a deadly hit in, forcing them to back off. Toji recalls back to when he sold Megumi to the Zenins and asks Megumi for his name. When he responds Fushiguro, Toji kills himself by stabbing his own head, satisfied with how he turned out. Megumi is about to head to Shoko to get healed, but is surprised attacked by Haruta. Meanwhile, Kusakave has been stalling with Panda patrolling around Shibuya so as not to get into any fights. When they encounter some of Geto's old followers, their fight is then interrupted by Sukuna and Jogo's battle. Jogo unleashes his tremendous firepower, absolutely decimating Shibuya, but Sukuna is able to evade and counteract with an incredible intensity, even sparing some time to toy around with the sorcerers caught in the middle trying to escape. Sukuna eventually uses his open technique, revealing his capability to use fire to fight Jogo's head-on. Jogo is promptly burned to death, where he reunites with Hanami and Dagon in a white void as they express their desire to see each other again, and Sukuna compliments Jogo on his strength. Sukuna then reunites with a curse user from his past, Uram, while elsewhere, a creature starts to attack Haruta and an unconscious Megumi. Backed into a corner and at near death by Haruta, Megumi unleashes his final suicide ploy, the ultimate Shikigami of the 10 Shadows and the one the previous users have never been able to subjugate, 8-handled sword Divergent Sila Divine Genol Maharaga. He activates the ritual and is immediately knocked out, with Haruta almost killed until he is saved by Sukuna. Sukuna recognizes the ritual with Megumi trapped in a death-like state until Maharaga is defeated, and intending to use him for his future plans, faces the Shikigami himself. The two proceed in a devastatingly hard-hitting battle throughout Shibuya, with Sukuna eventually understanding Maharaga's ability to adapt to attacks. To destroy it for good, Sukuna activates his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine, mercilessly slashing everything within a 140-meter radius, turning everything and everyone within that range, including Maharaga itself, into dust. Haruta attempts to escape, but he is also killed, with his luck courtesy of his cursed technique finally run out due to his fight with Nanami. With his time almost up, Sukuna quickly takes Megumi outside the city to be healed, before returning to show his work to Yuji. Yuji sees the crater and becomes immensely traumatized, blaming himself for everyone that died by Sukuna's hands. Meanwhile, a half-burned Nanami wanders the subway. The barely standing Nanami is confronted by a group of transfigured humans and uses his remaining strength to fight them all. After they're defeated, Mahito appears and touches Nanami's back, ready to use idol transfiguration on him. Nanami thinks about his life's choices and wondering if it was all worth it, when a vision of Hybra points him toward Yuji, who had just stumbled himself into the encounter. Nanami tells Yuji he's leaving the rest to him, as he's killed. An enraged Yuji fights Mahito as the two exchange blows all throughout the subway, with Mahito taking advantage of Yuji's emotional instability to get under his skin. Meanwhile, a double of himself that Mahito had created earlier when hunting for Yuji encounters Nobara out on the streets. After she starts to fight him, he decides to target her in order to drive Yuji further into despair. After Akari is taken to safety, Nobara re-enters the Veil, not wanting to stay back while the others are still fighting. Nobara fights the Mahito double, who is unable to use idol transfiguration on others like the main body. They discover that Nobara's resonance is actually the perfect counter to Mahito, damaging the soul of both the double and main body still fighting Yuji. Seeing the effects of Nobara's attack rejuvenates Yuji as he pounds away at Mahito. Both Mahitos escape their combatants, luring them into a hallway where they trade places, allowing the real Mahito to catch Nobara off guard and touch her face. Nobara starts to think back on her past, growing up in her village, befriending a girl named Fumi, and idolizing the older Saori, who was eventually driven out by the other villagers, which threw Nobara into despair. On the day she left for Tokyo, Nobara promised Fumi that the three of them would reunite again someday. Elsewhere in the present, a workaholic Saori reflects on her previous interactions with the girls. As she sees all of her old friends surrounded in a white void of empty chairs, Nobara tells Yuji her life wasn't bad, as the left side of her face explodes, and her body lies seemingly dead on the ground, to Yuji's horror. Yuji goes into shock seeing Nobara's apparently dead body, thinking about everybody in Shibuya he failed to save. Mahito takes advantage of his mental state and pounds away at him, even executing a black flash, while mocking his poor resolve. Just then, Tadu appears, saving Yuji before he is killed. Tadu gives Yuji a pep talk to him to regain his motivation, while his injuries are healed by Arata Nita. Arata also attempts to heal Nobara's body as much as he can, telling Yuji there's a not 0% chance she may survive. Tadu begins to fight Mahito, and with a newfound resolve, Yuji joins the battle. Meanwhile, the rest of the Kyoto students make their way to Shibuya to support. Miwa talks to Mekamaru's puppet, who becomes incredibly upset over Mekamaru manipulating events to protect them, which she believes is him calling them weak. Before he disappears, Mekamaru tells Miwa how he wanted to protect the girl he loved no matter what, and hopes that she will be happy, as she breaks down in tears. Yuji, Tadu, and Mahito's battle continues, with Tadu's curse technique alongside Nobara's previous intervention, proving to be more troubling for Mahito. After Tadu executes his own black flash, Mahito unleashes a horde of transfigured humans, bursting everyone back onto the streets of Shibuya. Yuji and Tadu continue their fight against Mahito. The curse creates several powerful transfigured humans in an attempt to keep Tadu busy, but he's able to easily take them out and regroup with Yuji. Taking influence from Gojo, Mahito activates a 0.2-second domain expansion, avoiding Sukuna's retaliation, while also succeeding in hitting Tadu. Tadu cuts off his hand before he's too affected by the transfiguration. His locket distracts Mahito long enough for him to activate his curse technique by clapping Mahito's hand, allowing Yuji to hit him with a black flash. However, at this moment, Mahito has figured out the true shape of his own soul and activates idol transfiguration on himself, becoming the self-embodiment of perfection. His hide proves to be even stronger than Choso's to attack, so Yuji prepares to attack with another black flash. Tadu once again distracts Mahito, making him think he's used his curse technique when it in fact no longer works, allowing Yuji to hit the black flash, destroying Mahito's form. Yuji admits to Mahito that they are one and the same and that he will kill him as many times as he has to. A completely hysterical Mahito attempts to flee while Yuji slowly follows behind. But before Yuji can kill him, Geto appears before Mahito, offering to save him. Panda rescues Kuzukabe from the Shibuya destruction, while Mei Mei and Ui are revealed to have fled to Malaysia. After using his cursed spirits to incapacitate Yuji, Geto proceeds to absorb and consume Mahito, using Uzumaki to take his cursed technique for himself. Just then, the Kyoto students arrive to provide backup, but are unable to do any effective damage. When Miwa attempts to slash him, Geto responds with a maximum Uzumaki, which Kuzukabe arrives to deflect. Choso suddenly appears, confronting Geto over his real identity as the man who experimented on him, Noritoshi Kumo, considered the most evil sorcerer in history. Geto reveals Kumo is one of his many identities he's taken throughout the years. Choso also realizes that Yuji is supposedly one of his brothers and fights Geto in revenge. Choso's power is still not enough to combat Geto, and when the rest of the sorcerers try to assist, Uram intervenes and uses their Frost Calm Curse technique to freeze everyone solid. Before they have the chance to kill anyone, Yuki Tsukumo arrives to assist. Yuki confronts Geto over their conflicting ideologies, the former believing humanity's next step in evolution is the removal of cursed energy, while the latter believes in optimizing cursed energy. Geto proceeds to remotely activate Mahito's idol transfiguration on two different kinds of non-sorcerers all over Japan, those who consumed cursed objects like Yuji, and those with latent cursed techniques like Junpei, turning them all into sorcerers. Among those awakened are Toji Fushiguro. Geto declares he will force the two groups to kill each other in order to gain a deeper understanding of cursed energy. Uram's ice melts due to poison from Choso's blood, but Geto unleashes a horde of cursed spirits, allowing them to escape, telling Yuji he has high expectations for him, and Sukuna he's bringing the world back to that of the Heian Age. In the aftermath, people around the country are reacting to the mysterious attack on Shibuya, while the government struggles to deal with everything, planning to go public about the existence of cursed energy as cursed spirits grow more rampant among the streets. Meanwhile, the Jujutsu higher-ups declare Gojo an accomplice in the Shibuya incident, sentence Principal Yaga to death, and reinstate Yuji's execution, with Yuta Okatsu named his executioner.